Welcome back to Overtime Heroics. I'm Mason Shatwell, and joining me again is Damon Wilson, who had a successful debut on Cage Warriors just a few weeks back. Damon, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing wonderful, Mason. It's always good to see you, good to hear from you, and yeah, man, we're having a good time out here.
100%. Before we talk about what could be coming up in the future, tell me, what was it like fighting on Cage Warriors for the first time?
It was incredible. Yeah, that's an experience that I'll definitely always remember, and I'm gonna have a lot more experiences with them. So they put on a great show. Just giving us the opportunity to fight. But man, the venue was incredible. Right there on the water with the marina, and I'm sure you've seen some of the pictures and videos and whatnot. And it was something else for sure. And as far as the way it's ran, I heard him talking before the show about how it's going to be quick and efficient, and that's exactly what it was. Everybody knew their job and their role, and it kept the show rolling smoothly, and takes a little bit of the pressure off of me to where I can just go out there and warm up and get in the cage and fight. So yeah, it went really smooth.
100%, man. Obviously, the fight, you got the win in the second round. Talk me through it. What was going through your mind during the fight? Because he hit you with a couple of good shots.
Yeah, man. Well, I'll tell you what. When I stepped in the cage, I looked across from him and I thought, oh shit, he's a little bigger than I expected. He put on some weight after weigh-ins, because we were at weigh-ins. I was like, okay, he's not as big as what I imagined. And then I stepped in the cage, and he definitely had a big weight cut, it looked to me like. So I thought, well, it's going to be a barn burner. I figured he was going to be a little hard to get to the ground, just judging off of his size. And then that first bell rang, and I don't know, I something hits me, a switch hits me when that bell rings, and I'm like, I'm all offense, so I came forward with a lot of heavy offense. I was landing good shots. I felt like I was hitting him with the right hand a lot, countering a lot of his kicks. He moved better than I expected. He moved laterally really well, so that kind of threw off a little bit of my timing and distance. And then yeah, his kicking game was very strong. I knew that coming in because he had a Muay Thai background, but yeah, he landed some low kicks early. The one low kick that buckled me in the first round, that one hurt pretty bad, I'm not gonna lie. He did land a few head kicks. They got some oohs and ahs from the fans. To be honest with you, those didn't faze me a whole lot. They may have shook me a little bit, but really I didn't. I wasn't too worried about anything upstairs. The low kick definitely did hurt me. I just needed to make a few adjustments in there, and that's what I was able to do.
I wanted to ask, because we'll probably talk about my fight towards the end, because you like many gave me some words of wisdom, which I do appreciate. But what goes through your mind after you get hit with something that actually hurts you? Because in my fight, I didn't get hit with anything that actually hurt, but what actually goes through your mind when somebody hits you where it causes pain?
Yeah, like I said, that low kick's the one that really bothered me, and it. Thankfully, I switched my stance a lot, so it didn't bother me switching to a southpaw stance. I frequently switch stances anyway, so I switched to southpaw to protect that leg a little bit. But it started running through my mind. It was gonna be even harder to get a takedown. I wanted to showcase my striking and whatnot, but I'm a wrestler through and through. So, I eventually wanted to get that fight to the ground. But after that kick, it felt like it shot some, took away some spring in my step. I just didn't have the explosion off of it. So I was a little concerned, no doubt. But, I knew that if I kept my forward pressure, kept throwing heavy leather, eventually, he'd start slowing down, and I started feeling him slow down a little bit towards the end of that first round in some of the clinch exchanges, and yeah, I just wanted to keep that pace on him, and you're going into fights. Obviously, you're gonna feel pain and whatnot. The adrenaline takes over quite a bit, so it takes away some of that pain. But yeah, man, I mean, it's a fist fight. You're gonna get hit in there, and you try to just have a short-term memory where don't worry about it. You got to focus on the next punch, the next strike. You got a guy standing in front of you that's still trying to take your head off, regardless of if he landed a good shot or not. So yeah, you just got to move forward and try to stick to the game plan and keep forward pressure on him.
What did your corner team say to you during the break before the first and second round?
Yeah, my corner did an incredible job. So I had Miles Jury and Jeremy Stevens in my corner. Those were actually a few late corner replacements. Typically I would have my coaches in there, and they weren't able to make it due to some different circumstances. But going in knowing I had Miles and Jeremy in my corner, that gives you a little extra savagery. So what they told me is basically they just told me to keep the pace on him, keep the pressure, and I just needed that reassurance that what I was doing was working. Because that first round was close. It probably could have gone either way. I think I landed some heavy shots, but he landed some pretty damaging kicks. So I wasn't. I myself, I was just focused on getting my heart rate down. So I was doing my breathing, in between rounds, getting my heart rate down, just trying to listen to them as much as possible. And yeah, they just told me, they said he's feeling the pressure. Just keep the pace on him, and you're gonna catch him. And so that was the plan. And they also told me that my stance switching was messing him up. So I knew going in, shifting my stances and whatnot was throwing him off a little bit. He wasn't sure where my weapons were coming from. So they kept it pretty precise and pretty general. And yeah, it worked. Yeah.
Did you expect the fight to finish how it did? Did you expect a TKO finish?
Man, going into the fight, yeah, I definitely, I expected to put him away. I wasn't sure how it was going to be, if it was going to be, with a clean punch, or if it was going to be with some ground and pound from top control. But yeah, I felt like I had, what it takes to finish the fight. I knew I could keep my cardio up and keep the pace on him. And like I said before, that right hand was landing early. It was just a matter of time before it landed clean, and it finally landed clean, and it just happened to be the punch where I threw all 145 pounds into it. So it was it was the right punch to land for sure.
100%. How was your weight cut for this fight?
Weight was easy. My weight's always fairly easy. I walk around. I walk around probably 160. I don't get too much higher than that. I have been higher than that before, but once I get into training and stuff, the weight comes down pretty smooth. And I cut out. I have a little bit of an issue with drinking a lot of soda. So when I cut out soda, that typically gets my weight even closer. And then yeah, the days before, just a couple little workouts and some sauna sessions to get that extra water weight off. But I'm not like an oversized 45 pounder by any means, but I'm not small either. I feel comfortable at the weight. I think some of my teammates and coaches, they believe I could probably make 135. And I think I could make it too, but I just don't think I would be. I don't think I'd be healthy. I don't think I'd be, as mentally or physically as strong as I am at 145. So I'm gonna stay at featherweight for now. I think it's a comfortable weight for me, and I'm just gonna try to rinse and repeat, just like the last fight. Try to do everything the same. The weight cut was easy, so try to keep everything very similar as far as that goes.
100%. I wanted to ask, what did you do to celebrate the win?
Well, I had a pretty good crew here. I had probably 15 or 16 people that flew out to watch me. My brothers and some old high school wrestling teammates, some colleagues from my past work, and then my fiance. So we went out, and my one thing was I had to get a cheeseburger. I'm a cheeseburger guy, so I had to go get a cheeseburger. So cheeseburger and whiskey is how I celebrated. Um, and then, everybody ended up having to take off back to work the next day. So I was back on the grind pretty much. I had a little bit of time off just to let the body heal, but I was back in the gym pretty quickly after that. I got a lot of work to do, so I can't celebrate too much too early.
100%. I wanted to ask about a couple of people you trained with. Before we started the recording, we spoke off camera. You've trained with Brendan Loughnane a little bit while he was over in the States. What did you think of Brendan training with the guy?
Yeah, Brendan's the man. He's he's always in a good mood. He's always happy, no matter if he's training. We may be going to wrestling practice or something, and he's still in a good mood. So it's hard not to be happy when you're around that guy. But yeah, he was preparing for his PFL fight, and I think our fights were 2 or 3 weeks apart. He was about 2 or 3 weeks after my fight, so we were peaking, at a very similar time. And I went to Las Vegas for about a week, with the crew, with Dom and OJ, and they had some business there with Dom doing the calls for the fights. So I was helping him train, and Loughnane was doing his camp in Vegas. I think he was bouncing around, but he was more so at Syndicate than anything. And so yeah, I was getting plenty of work with him. We both like to run. We both like the road work, so we were getting a lot of road work in that Las Vegas heat. And yeah, it was great. It was great being around him. Me and him watched the World Cup finals. We went to a pub and watched that. So I had a pint of Guinness with him. I figured that was the thing to do. So that was a good experience with him for sure.
100%. Now let's get on to what's next. I know you told me about a week ago now, and you've been given the green light to go ahead and talk about it. When can we next see you back in the octagon?
Yeah, so I'm stepping back in there October 17th here in San Diego in that Cage Warriors card. Yeah, that was the plan all along. It was just, whether or not I could keep the body healthy in that first fight, and I was able to do that. So yeah, we're gonna turn around and do it again in October. We don't have an opponent set yet, but I'm sure we'll be hearing something soon. They've already started naming a few fights on that card. So yeah, I'm excited to get back in there. I'm already familiar with the atmosphere and familiar with the weigh-ins and how things work. So yeah, it's really exciting, and I'll have another good crowd out to see me. I think I already got some people that have booked tickets and whatnot. So yeah, it's going down.
Any names that you'd like to fight?
Man, at this point, I guess I don't really have a whole lot of names to call out. I mean, I'm looking for 12 pounds of gold. That's what I'm after. I'm wanting the belt wrapped around my waist. So, however I can get there, I'll go through any of them. I saw they made an interim title fight on the trilogy coming up, so I'll be tuning in to watch that. I've watched those. I've been starting to do some research on some of those fellas in my weight class, and there's some skilled guys out there, some pretty tough names. So it's going to be an exciting future. I think I gotta, I'm a realist, so I know I gotta win a couple more fights. I haven't done a whole lot yet, but my dues are paid as far as the training goes. I've been working hard for this for a long time. So dues are paid on that end. Now it's just going in there and cashing the checks. So yeah, anybody out there that gets me closer to gold.
How would you see yourself potentially matching up in the future against the likes of Morgan Charrier and Paul Hughes, who, as you mentioned, are fighting for the interim title?
Yeah, I think I match up well against any of them. I think I have a style that is going to be tough to train for, just because I've got the cardio to put a pressure on people. I mean, I'm a wrestler, but I'm showing that I got the capabilities of knocking guys out. I showed that I can take some damage. Obviously, I'd like to sharpen up my defensive skills a little bit so that I don't have to take the damage. But that's one thing I've always known. I've always known I'm a tough son of a bitch. I've been tough since day one, so I've always had that on my side, and now I'm starting to realize that I know how to fight, and that's a dangerous combination. So I think some of these guys, they have more experience than me. They have a lot more experience in the fight game as far as their records go. But man, I've been busting my ass for a long time, and I stepped on a wrestling mat at the age of 5, so I've been in combat sports for a long time too. And I think people forget that, just because I don't have the wins and losses on my MMA record, but I know how to fight, and yeah, I think I'm gonna be trouble for any of them. Stylistic matchups are make fights what they are. But I think stylistically, I can deal with any of them, just because I have the wrestling, and I've shown that I can strike with some high level strikers. So yeah, I'm interested to see how that fight goes for the interim, and I know the Lucinic kid is pretty good. I think he holds the belt right now, so I'm sure they'll do a title match once that's settled. So yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see what those guys do, but they all seem pretty well rounded. And I've said before, if you're gonna be around these days, you gotta know how to do it all. It's the specific styles aren't as much these days. Everybody's just a fist fighter. So yeah, I like my chances against any of them.
Understand. Just a couple more. Obviously, the fight that's just happened, it was your first fight in, I think, 2-3 years. How did it feel to be back in there?
Oh man, I mean, it was like a relief. Um, when I stepped in there, man, I didn't feel any nerves. I didn't feel any pressure. I didn't feel anything. I just felt like it was where I belonged. I felt free, man. They lock you in that cage, but it's as free as you've ever felt. So I can't wait to feel that feeling again. You forget how good it feels. Obviously, getting the win, and especially in that fashion, felt really good. I had some weird emotions after, like immediately after. I celebrated a little bit towards my crowd, and then I walked over to my corner, and man, I just kind of put my head down, and I just started thinking about, man, the long road that it's been to get here, and it was just like such a relief. And Jeremy threw me my T-shirt, and he said, "Put that shirt on. You did it, brother." So I threw my shirt on, and man, it just felt good. It just felt good to finally be there, and finally be doing something that I love to do. So I hope that I can continue this career, and I want to be able to do this for a living. So in order to do that, I'm gonna have to keep winning. So the motivation is easy. I don't want to go back to work.
Yeah, 100%, brother. Before we end today, is there anything you'd like to sign off or say before we end the interview, bro?
Well, first off, all respect to you, Mason, for stepping in the cage. Anybody that steps in there, I got to give them all the respect in the world. You don't see Ariel Helwani stepping in there, so you're a step above him, if you ask me. But yeah, man. So big shout out to you for sure, and then just I don't know, shout out to all my friends and family back home. My fiance's back home, and we do a long distance relationship when I'm out here, so it's a little hard on her. But she's as strong as they come, and she believes in me more than I believe in myself a lot of times. So thank you to her, and all the support back home. I went home last week, and I visited, my hometown where my parents still live. And I made a post just telling people that I had about 100 shirts of these, the Nomad shirts. I had about 100 of them for sale, and I told people to come out and buy some if they wanted to support. To be honest, man, I didn't think I'd sell a handful of them, and I ended up selling out of all 100 shirts. So,
Wow.
so it goes to show how much support I have back home. I'm just a small town kid, out here living a dream. So, like I said, hopefully I can continue to represent my family and my friends and my hometown well. But yeah, man, that's about all I got as far as that goes.
100%, brother. Damon, it's been a pleasure as always, and October can't come quick enough, my friend.
Hell yeah, man. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for doing these interviews. It allows me to, get some stuff off my chest. So yeah, I hope all the UK fans are enjoying the fights out here too. And one of these days, I'll put my boots down on your soil and see if we can get a scrap going out there.
100%, Damon. Have a great day, man. It's been a pleasure as always.
Thank you, Mason. We'll see you next time, buddy.
100%, brother.
See ya.